It now has a 6,300 foot runway, which is capable of landing most large aircraft. We have 737s come in here, and we have 757s land here. But the idea of extending runway 15 by 500 feet really is to allow us to use both runways, 6 and 24 and 15 and 33, simultaneously. That would be the one benefit that we would get by it. And in the summertime, it's not going to handle additional traffic, but it will allow us to handle the current level of traffic at on a more efficient basis, because we can use 6 and 24 as the primary, and under the new FAA rules for land and hold short, or LAHSO, that the FAA has, they require 3,500 feet for a 402, which is our primary aircraft that we get service from, Boston, Hyannis. They need 3,500 feet. If we're using 24 and we try to use 33, we do not have it. We have 3,150 because of the whole line on 33 will lose about 800 feet. When the wind allows us to use both runways, it means that we can use 402s and we don't have to stack planes out over areas offshore to bring it, and it will eliminate and spread traffic out. We're working with the airlines to encourage them to use more over-the-water routes to come in, and by going around the east end of the island and coming in 3-3 and staying offshore, it will eliminate a lot of the noise that comes in right over Squam and that area. So that would be a definite benefit. But we can land any kind of aircraft now on 2-4, and so I don't think we're going to attract more people if we extend 3-3. And we will definitely enhance safety. And when we do use 3-3 and the wind is out of the northwest, and particularly in the wintertime, it will allow the planes to be higher when they go over the more populated parts of the island. Now it will allow the planes to be higher today. And you can see the windsock out there, and that really is what controls what runway the towers are using.
Sure. Oh yeah, I always look at that windsock.
Yeah, and that's really what drives the runway selection.
So more and more people are taking flight, buying their own planes.
And that's really what drives the. There's a phenomenon that's going on right now, and it's really a paradigm shift. And what's happening is that the reciprocating engines and the 402s haven't been. You haven't built a 402, or Cessna hasn't built a 402 in probably 30 years, and so these planes are becoming aged. With security requirements and everything, corporate and fractional shares are growing very rapidly. But now what's happening is that because reciprocating engines aren't as efficient as jet engines, and there's been an evolution, probably really, if you want to analyze it, from the cruise missiles and that type of thing, they've created small jet engines. Now these small jet engines can power a small plane efficiently. And so what we're getting is a whole development process, and there are probably 6 or 7 planes that are being developed right at this time that are called microjets, and they're 4 to 6 passenger jets that a private individual or a small company can own and operate. And what will happen is these planes will fly at higher altitudes than traditional private aircraft will fly to get the efficiency from the engine. And so you're looking at a real traffic change at higher altitudes, which concerns the FAA because they're going to have to be able to handle these planes at higher altitudes, which have been traditionally restricted to the large airlines.
What do you see a time when these planes right here they'll switch to those kinds of jets? I mean, is
not in the foreseeable future. These planes are the absolute ideal solution to the type of flying that this island requires, because they give you total flexibility. You fly 9 people in them, and if you have 18 people, you fly 2 legs of it. If you have 30 people, you'll fly 3.5 legs, and so everybody can fit into a schedule. Whereas if they go to a larger plane, it will require less flexible service. And because of our seasonal requirements, it's going to be really a problem for the airlines to be able to sustain it on a year-round basis.
But why don't they make these planes? I mean, if they're in such demand, why don't they continue to make them?
We're in a unique situation. Most planes, most aviation people prefer to fly in a jet. even the turboprops are considered to be less desirable. And you know, we get service here with Kogan on the Beech 1900s, which is a 19-seat plane, and there are certain rules that govern what you fly. For instance, you can fly one pilot with 9 people or less. If you go over 9 people, you need two pilots. If you go over 19 people under the FARs, you have to have a flight attendant. So there are reasons why these planes have the seating that they have. And it's basically economics. And because we are seasonal and we don't know how many people are going to come here at any one time, the 402s are the perfect solution to it. But there's not enough demand on a worldwide basis for it because most people are going to larger planes or jets.
Right.
And when you go to jets, these planes go through what is called a 100-hour inspection to be airworthy, and so every 100 hours they have to go through a progressive inspection.
Right.
If you go to a jet, they start keeping track of cycles, and every time you start and stop that engine, it counts as a cycle. And so if you have to start an engine every 15 minutes for a flight to Hyannis, it becomes impractical.
Okay. Right. How are they on gas when you compare the fuel efficiency of the prop plane to a jet?
Typically a jet would use more, but they would at higher altitudes they're more efficient, and the maintenance is so much less on them.
That's right, huh? They're really that much less on a jet.
On the engines.
On the engines, less working parts,
and
right.
I'm not sure, I couldn't give you the exact, it depends on the engine and everything, but you're looking at, whereas a reciprocating engine might be good for like 2,000 hours between overhauls, a TBO, a jet you're looking at 5,000 hours typically, and so it's a different, but there's a whole different maintenance requirement on it.
Al, I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
I have
think it was
too,
really
Gino.
interesting. I think the folks will find it interesting on what's going on.
You're
out
welcome here anytime, and we'd like to have more people be interested in the airport and the activities that are going on out here. It's a real asset for the island.
Certainly is. Thanks again, Al.
Thank you.
During the
Activities that are going
reconstruction
on
of
out here,
our
it's a
runway
real asset for the
624,
island.
which is the main runway
Certainly
at the
is.
airport.
Thanks again, Al.
This is the
Thank you.
runway right here. This is the ocean. This is where our airport landing system is. This whole runway is shut down during this reconstruction, and all of the aircraft are coming in on 3-3 or on 15. The problems that this causes is that when we have high winds that are in the wrong direction, makes it difficult, and some aircraft actually cannot land on these runways, or the fact that we have low ceilings and the minimums for the airplanes to land on this runway are much higher. But one of the pieces of misinformation that we've been hearing is that this use of runway 1533 is going to be a good test for noise abatement when we add 500 feet as we've proposed to runway 33. That's not the case at all. This is a terrible example, and it would be a horrible test. Right now, this is the ocean side here. And when we try to use our noise abatement routes, planes will be landing on 3-3. Recently, the FAA has come up with a land and hold short regulation, which now negates the use of this much of this runway. So we have lost this distance. The runway is only 4,000 feet long. We're losing over 850 feet, and what we propose to do is add the 500 here. That way planes can land and hold short of the main runway. But this runway for noise abatement then would not be used for takeoff, so that when planes are under power, they're going over all of this developed area of the island. What we propose to do for noise abatement is have those planes take off on 2-4, and when they're under power, they're going to be over the ocean. So what's happening right now with all these planes landing or taking off over these neighborhoods, that should not happen during our noise abatement regulations. And I'd really like to get that cleared up. People don't understand it. During our noise abatement regulations. And I'd really like to get that cleared up. People don't understand it.